What they're going to end up doing with Deebo. I really don't. I mean, would they ever do the unthinkable and move both guys today?
Huh.
What?
I would hope not.
I mean, it feels unthinkable. I'm just asking.
I mean, you got dead cap hit.
It's coming hard.
You got a $42 million dead cap hit. We've been talking about it all week.
We went to a Super Bowl, and Kendrick Bourne was one of your leading postseason wide receivers. Like, I know. Look, I know.
Well, then we think Shanahan can do it then.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I know wide receivers are important, and I'm not devaluing how great these guys are individually. But also, like, we act like this is the Tom Sula offense. Kendrick Bourne was one of your leading receivers en route to a Super Bowl.
Well, Kendrick Bourne was so good they had to trade for Emmanuel Sanders at the deadline.
No doubt.
I had a wide receiver.
No doubt. He also had the rib injury.
That's how confident they felt about Kendrick Bourne being their leading wide receiver. They went out and traded for Emmanuel Sanders.
I'm not dismissing that. I'm just saying that I just don't think this offense, the way that they want to run things, I don't think that wide receivers spending $60 million on wide receivers is the greatest way to put your team together.
It's only for one season. It would only be for one season. Spending $60 million and that's $75 million with adding Kittle. That's for 1 year. And then you move off Deebo next year because it sounds like it's. Let's listen to TK. TK on the Deebo situation.
I think it's set up for Deebo Samuel's contract to be moved off after this season. I just think that's the way the contract was played out. It's like that's where they have this out. It's not this year. It's next year. Ayuk would not be getting a new contract starting till next season anyway, very likely. You don't really tear up that last season if you do the extension. They haven't with other players, so his number is not going up huge. In fact, it'll go down because it's $14 million this season. A number will probably go down to start the cap hits and then expand, by a lot in later years.
And then TK later added about Deebo Samuel. Is he a declining player or is he ascending?
It's a potential declining player. This was kind of was the issue that they had with him 2 years ago. It was like they just didn't see how he was going to be a $27 million player in 3 years. Well, he's probably not going to be. And they have their way out of it. So for pure math, you could say if they give the money to Ayuk, it's probably not going to go to Deebo. But that's not limited to just the one player, And we saw it with Armstead. We might see it with several other players. They have outs for these long-term deals. That's why players fight for the guaranteed money. And when the time comes, when the guaranteed money doesn't hit the 49ers as hard, you start seeing some players going.
What do you think about that? Deebo declining, Ayuk not. So maybe adding a wide receiver, moving off of Deebo next year. Then, at least in the future, you have your Brock Purdy getting his deal. You have Ayuk who has his deal. And you have that rookie wide receiver on that rookie deal who's in his second year learning from Deebo Samuel. And he's ready to roll by year 2.
Well, I mean, that's
the ideal situation.
Yeah, we would prefer that. But, I don't know. I don't know if they can afford that or if they want to do that. And then, what are you going to get for Deebo? The Deebo thing is interesting. I don't know if he's a declining player. I just think he kind of is what he is. He had a monster 2021 season. Just absolute all outlier monster year. And I don't think they're going to use him that way anymore. They're just not. When you got CMC, it kind of, not that it devalued Deebo, it just changed Deebo's particular role, and it wasn't a necessity to hand him the ball off the way that they did. Is he still a gladiator? Absolutely. Is he still a tone setter and a stud who can pop in any game? Oh, absolutely. Is he the greatest wide receiver in terms of hey, this guy's going to press you. You need to get open in a short area and make yourself get separation so we can hit you on a quick hitter. That's not necessarily what his bread and butter is.
He got shut down in the Super Bowl. And Deebo was good last season. I thought he had a good season. I did. Was it great? No.
He had a good season. I agree with that.
But he got shut the hell down by McDuffie and the Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, there was just no separation. No separation at the line of scrimmage. He didn't fool anybody with his route running whatsoever.
But if you go to practice,
and I love Deebo, and I love Deebo Samuel as much as anybody. I wanted him drafted here.
But he's just not. That's not
his game.
But that was good.
And I need guys with that type of game because we can't talk about the vertical passing game. How the vertical passing game for the 49ers is a bit outdated at times. It looks a bit outdated when you could just drop back. Hey, 3rd and 8. I got to make a throw. I got to get a first down. I know I could do that with Ayuk. I don't think I could do that with Deebo moving forward.
But everyone couldn't have it both ways, right? So you pay him wide receiver money, and now you're paying him, top dollar.
I had no problem paying Deebo. I have no problem paying Deebo for what he did. But I can still keep Deebo, and he can do what he does, And I don't have to count on him to be that X receiver or that guy on 3rd and 8 to put his foot in the dirt, run a great route, and catch a pass and high point the football or whatnot. Now, I do think his hands are a little underrated. This fade route against the New York Giants on Thursday Night Football was beautiful. I think we all forget that. The back shoulder throw by Brock Purdy was beautiful to the corner or the pylon of the end zone. That was awesome. But at the same time, walking out of the Super Bowl, I'm thinking to myself, boy, I need more weapons. Now, I know everybody's talking about Chris Conley, right? Did you know Chris Conley is 31 years old? I had no idea he was 31 years old. He's going to be 32 in October. He's an older player. The guy had 2 catches for 35 yards in the postseason. He had some big catches, but think about it.
He's your 4th or 5th wide receiver.
But you're talking. But people, I keep hearing Chris Conley could maybe make some plays for you.
Can
you give Chris Conley 7 targets a game and be effective? That's what I'm saying.
You're going to draft that guy, but I think it's more indicative of the offensive philosophy where a random guy like a Chris Conley can get a target. I mean, heck, the year before, what was it? Travis Benjamin's out there running routes, and we're all losing our minds. They were playing Mohamed Sanu a couple years ago.
So let me ask you,
he was done
as a makeshift GM. It's a makeshift GM. When you draft a player, we could use Madden for this exercise. I don't care. It's all fun and games. You're running Madden, and a player pops for you in the draft. You're more inclined to get that player a contract, or you're going to flip that player for more picks in the future. Because, like, when you develop a player and he pops after drafting him, don't you want to just keep your homegrown talent knowing that, hey, I groom these guys to play in my system, and they have exceeded in my system, and they've become all pro. Like, Brandon Ayuk was the 2nd team all-pro last year. And we're just talking about flipping him for prospects.
Yeah, but if he was 2nd team all-pro 3 years in a row like Nick Bosa, then I would keep him. But he's not. And then I'm projecting moving forward, like, is he, the money that he's commanding, am I going to be throwing him the ball 15 times a game? Like, this is not what they do. Yeah. And I love him. I love him as a player.
Think about what they didn't do, what they don't do offensively, and what he's done to maximize his opportunities.
Yeah, but you can't keep like, I keep coming back to the same thing. You can't keep everyone.
For this season, you can.
Okay.
For this season, you can run back.
But you have to look beyond this year.
Yeah, no doubt you have to. That's why next year's next year. You got the out clauses with all these guys, whether it's Kittle, whether it's Deebo. You may make a decision on Javon Hargrave. I don't know if Dre Greenlaw's going to be here long term coming off his injury. I don't know what the hell. Juszczyk is going to be probably coming off the books. There's a lot. Trent Williams, how long is he going to be playing? How long is he playing? Does he have another year left? Does he have 2 years left? I have no idea. So for this year, I can maybe add and just have as many weapons as possible because it's about the quarterback. How do I surround my quarterback and put him in the best position to succeed? I think the one thing about Jimmy, and I don't think Jimmy was a perfect quarterback whatsoever, but the one thing with Jimmy that I wish the Niners did was build a little more around him. Give him multiple weapons. He walked on the field after that Super Bowl season, in which they lost the Super Bowl 54. He walked on the field in week number 1 with Kendrick Bourne, Dante Pettis, and Trent Taylor. And it was like, come on, dog. You can't be successful. Who the hell is going to be successful with that weaponry on the outside? Ask Mac Jones about that. Ask Mac Jones about,
but you have CMC still. Like, that's
you didn't have CMC in 2021.
No, I know, but that's what I would say to you. Is like you have CMC still.
Well, right? CMC is going to see a lot more,
and you have Deebo. Like,
you don't think CMC
Of course, it's going to be more difficult.
One less weapon.
Bonte, of course, it's going to be more difficult. And the team's going to have to evolve. Like, there's no doubt. See, like. You're frustrated that the money is coming into play, but like,
no, I'm not
I kind of saw this coming, and like,
no.
I think a lot of Niner fans need to just kind of like wrap their heads around this is one of, and I don't love it,
nothing to do with
but
that.
Because you paid Deebo, this is one of the few guys that you can move to get something back and spread those picks around.
He's one of your best players on the team.
So rank him.
He's a top 10 player on this football team.
Yeah, 10's. There's.
I'm not going to rake him. Say who's the top player. 22. He's at least in that top 10. He's in that top 10 on this team. Pound for pound, talent wise.
Yeah,
you got your Chris McCaffrey. You got your Fred Waters.
I'm not taking Colt McKivitz over Brandon Ayuk. Like, yeah, I get that, but like, is he a top 5 player on this team?
You could make the argument that he was last year.
Yeah, I would. Throughout his tenure as a Niner.
Well, he's had back-to-back 1,000-yard receivers. He's ascended.
Yeah.
Despite he ran a quarter, he had 1,000 yards despite having. This is something we also forget. We also forget this when Brock Purdy came into the. Deebo got hurt against Tampa Bay, and Deebo missed a few games. What did that offense do?
It didn't look as good.
But Brandon Ayuk started balling. He balled out though.
Yeah, okay, but Bonte, I'm looking at it from the GM's perspective. It's like Trent and Bosa, those are 2. All right, Purdy is 3, CMC is 4, and then your 5th is Fred Warner. Like those are your top 5 guys. You can't keep all the great players sometimes.
So you're cool with just trading off a player?
I'm not cool. I get it. I understand that there's a business aspect,
but you can keep them for this year together and move off of Deebo and make those decisions. You can hold off on these tough decisions by re-signing now. You could theoretically move off these guys next season.
But then
why would you try to run back an offense that averaged damn near 30 points a game? It broke all types of records.
Bonte, then I don't know why. I've come to the conclusion that they cannot afford all these guys. Like, I know everyone else is saying that this is what they can do. I think they're going to give CMC money that no one knows about, that they're going to pay him some money. Because if I'm CMC, there's no way I want to see both Deebo and Ayuk making twice as much as me when I'm way more important than them. Trent Williams is going to make twice as much as me if I'm CMC?
Well, you take Trent Williams away from CMC.
No, I know, but I'm just saying twice as much.
Well, you take Trent Williams off this offense, and we see how many yards
I'm going locker room dynamics here. I'm going locker room dynamics. And then you're going to give Brock Purdy, 40 or 50 million next year. I think they're going to do right by CMC. And I think that there's other moves they have in their head. Like everyone's like, well, you got to extend Ayuk. Well, what about extending Diamond Lenore? Maybe that's something that they have in the works. Maybe it's
Lenore more important than Ayuk in this?
No, but he could be cheaper. You could be had cheaper. And if it's one Ayuk or a Diamond or Lenore and giving CMC some money and then also getting a wide receiver for $5 million and getting myself an offensive lineman. And
it all sounds good. That all has to pop.
I'm thinking about how they're trying to do it.
I hear you. I hear you on that one. But I have a player who's popped. I have a player who's ascended and became an all-pro in this offense. Despite being in the doghouse, despite having 3 different quarterbacks one season, despite last year playing with Brock Purdy and not being able to catch passes for Brock Purdy in the offseason because he was rehabbing from elbow surgery, and I still thrived. I don't know. I just, like, the NFL. So, this is great. I was talking to somebody. This is great. I forgot to mention this to you. True story. A couple weeks ago, I was talking to somebody I trust very, very well. I do. No, seriously. I'm not even trying to. I just am like, where is this going? Okay. So we were talking about basketball, right? We're talking about basketball. And he's like, Bonte, I really believe buckets gets you wins. I think in basketball, it's more about the offense and getting buckets. And I said, that's interesting because football is a complete opposite. And that person told me, was like, actually, that person talked to a 49er scout. Okay. True story. Okay. Swear to God. True story. That 49er scout said, I used to believe that defense wins championships, but in today's game, this scout truly believed that you need offense. That offense is actually a great indicator. That, defense will keep you in the football game, but you need playmakers in today's day and age in the NFL to really win. You need dynamic players.
Playmakers? Time out. Wait, who had better playmakers in the Kansas City Niner game? The Niners did, and they got stuffed out by a better defense.
I think the offense shot themselves in the foot. How many holding calls did they get called for? How many illegal procedures? How many errant throws? How many bad routes?
Right.
Plays were there to be made.
You're making my point. Like Kansas City's defense locked up. I thought they were awesome.
Plays were there to be made.
I mean, their wide receiver personnel is like, what is it, like 20th in the league?
Well, they made plays in the Super Bowl. They made players in the Super Bowl.
I mean, I'm looking around the league and everyone is offloaded. Like right now, T. Higgins is probably going to get offloaded, right? Like teams are getting rid of offensive players. You do have to have some balance. No one is saying it has to be one or the other. Like, but you have to balance things out. You're going to have flaws. You're going to have flaws when you build an NFL team.
The Niners average 30 points a game. Offense won the Detroit game coming back. Offense needed to wake up against Green Bay. Offense is the reason why they lost that Super Bowl. Because they didn't have enough productive offense.
I mean, defense stopped the drive against Green Bay at the end of the game and got that interception on
the offense. Also woke up and made multiple plays in the fourth without the offense making possession plays. Right? It's all connected. But you could make the argument that offense is a little more important in today's game.
Well, but I find that ironic. Then the Niners gave these Niners scouts that you're talking to. Why give Bosa $120 million? Why not trade Bosa?
You need a pass rusher at least. Right? You can't,
I hear you,
can't
but
not rush the quarterback.
But you're investing that much. Like that's historic money.
Yes, exactly. But what are you going to do? Let Bosa walk? You're not going to pay Bosa? It's your only pass rusher. It's the only guy.
Well, I guess then that's the same argument over here. You can't pay all your offensive players.
Well,
like one of them's going to have to go.
You can say defense wins championships, but Kansas City, when they needed to make plays in the fourth quarter and overtime, they all made them. Those no-name wide receivers made plays.
Well, so did Chris Jones blowing up a play at the end when it was 3rd and 4 for the 49ers and they had opportunity to what?
And that playmaker, Brendan Ayuk, was wide open on that play, right? I don't know. I'm just not moving off.
That's a good example. This is why I need another offensive lineman.
We're talking about a second-team All-Pro in the NFL.
He's a great player.
Team. Think about this. All these wide receivers in the league. All these wide receivers in the league. And Brendan Ayuk makes second-team All-Pro on the run-first offense? I guess he's easily replaceable.